Hey nerds, I will reveal my top 5 moments and honorable mentions from the 8th episode of the Pitt Season 2, starting now. Welcome back to the Nerd Social. I am Colin. Before we start, chapter times are below if you want to skip ahead. And remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also, please check out our website, thenerdsocial.org, for more reviews and analysis from our contributors. So, episode 8 is titled 2 p.m., and it is written by Joe Sachs and is directed by John Cameron. Spoiler-free logline of this episode is: in the wake of an IT shutdown, Princess must manage a completely analog ER. Al-Hashimi, Mohan, and King assess a woman with sudden blindness. So, this 8th episode was much more emotional than I thought it would be. There's especially one new patient who really shined in this episode, and I definitely got emotionally attached to him immediately. Also, because of the shutdown of all computer systems, it was interesting to see how the younger doctors and nurses navigate working in analog and how the older doctors and nurses picked it up as though it was just another day. The blindness storyline, I feel, is going to continue into the next episode, but it speaks to how life can be very fragile and precious, and we should cherish the moments we have with loved ones because they don't last forever. In terms of rating, I would give this 8th episode a 10 out of 10, which is a theater rental. Louie's death still hits me very hard emotionally, but a new patient coming in really hit me just as hard emotionally. There's also one line that got me from Dr. Robby that I basically uttered at the same time as he did in real time. It may be a very obvious line, but it emotionally connected me to him with my job as an educator. So, as I reveal my top 5 moments and honorable mentions, there are spoilers ahead for the Pitt Season 2, Episode 8. So, get ready for that right now. So, we start off with my second honorable mention, which is Dr. Joy Quan's photographic memory. So, she was able to recite the entire patient board from memory after Dr. Whitaker's picture on the board on his phone was very blurry. She was also able to diagnose a patient when doctors Ogilvy and Giovanni couldn't figure it out. This was near the end of the episode. Maybe she is the smartest of all the first years in the most low-key way, so we'll find out if that's the truth. Because she did have another instance where she shined when she was able to navigate through the health insurance crisis. My first honorable mention is the deaf patient's diagnosis. Finally, after 8 episodes, we figure out what was wrong with her. She finally had someone that was able to meet with her in person, actually a person that was in the room with her while she translated her symptoms to Dr. Santos through the interpreter. So the diagnosis was that she was working from home on her laptop. It was her posture that was causing her severe neck pain and stomach problems. So Dr. Santos was able to prescribe some medication to her, as well as to recommend her to bring her laptop to eye level. Maybe it's too preachy for the viewing audience, but it's good advice nonetheless about proper posture. And also, finally having that real-life ASL interpreter made all the difference in the world. And you could definitely see in places like this where the smallest resource could make such a huge difference in a person's life. And I remind myself every day as an educator of the type of service that I provide to my students is something that they may or may not have in other places. My number 5 moment is the hospice patient's Roxy. So she's been featured quite a bit in the last few episodes. She has supportive children and also a very supportive husband and a nurse that lives with her. So her parents get brought in. There's something a little off though as to why she's still in the ER. And she's also become very standoffish to her children and to her very supportive husband. Maybe I think that he is smothering her too much, or she's just exhausted by everything, or she's just in pain because She's been on morphine, and then Dr. Robby basically upped her morphine level by quite a bit so that she's not in pain all the time. And Dr. Robby is just resigned to the fact that she might die. It is important for patients not to feel pain near the end, and it's much more important for her to give her a higher dose so that she doesn't have to suffer through it while she is near the end. So hopefully we will find out what is going to happen with her in the next episode. My number 4 is Ogilvy insensitivity to the overweight patient Howard Knox. When he asked about exercise, the patient answered honestly, but then he went into a story of how he became what he is now. It breaks a lot of the judgmental stereotype of laziness, and Dr. Whitaker had to remind Ogilvy to focus on the patient and not about his lifestyle or his habits. Dr. McKay also reminded him later on to treat the patient with respect. It doesn't matter what type of situations they're in or what type of ailments they have. You have to develop not only good bedside manner, but also some sensitivity toward your patients and not just judge them in a disrespectful manner. My number 3 moment is Nicole Stedman speaking with Jackson's parents. So Caleb, the psychologist here, recommended Nicole Stedman speak with Jackson's patients. So for those of you that don't recall, Jackson is the patient that had the manic episode strapped onto them to the gurney. And in the last episodes, her parents revealed to Dr. Javati that the father's side had a mental illness. And so they were in denial for a little bit. The sister got involved and was upset. And we mentioned that in the previous episode. I think that having Nicole Stedman in there was very important in terms of symbolism. Having someone who look like them and are going through the same situation, having an older child who has mental illness speak to them and made them feel much more trustworthy about the system. This type of work is often undervalued or neglected or understaffed, but when there are people like her, it's invaluable, and it makes a huge difference on a person's life and onto a family's life as well. My number 2 moment is the touchpad for the patient Howard Knox. When he says, "Can I order a pizza through the touchpad?" gave me a lot of the Louie vibes from the previous episode. It's just too bad that he gets transferred to another hospital, because there's another scene with him that is part of my number 1. There's also a scene right before the doctors put the tube inside him that he said, "Thank you for everything." And I got really emotional with that because you can tell that he was very appreciative of all the people that were working with him to make sure that he's getting the proper care. They explained to him everything that was going on, and he felt comfortable and relaxed during this whole process. So that leads to my number 1, which is there were multiple emotional beats that were near tearjerkers for me. There was one that was a follow-up from the previous episode with the SA victim. After finishing the SA protocol, the SA victim, Alana, said to Emma was a very good nurse and that she's very glad that Nurse Dana was with her the whole time. Nurse Dana, of course, then said to her that, yes, she's learning, but she is definitely a very good nurse. And the part where Nurse Dana said, "Me too," was definitely a very emotional moment for me. And then we find out the other side of Nurse Dana when she berated the police on the phone for not taking the SA kit on time, shows how much she cares about her patients and really fights for them. So there was also a patient that was experiencing blindness, said that it was our call with her partner to go with the medication, even though that there were many risks that were involved. It was a whole process. She was developing an eye stroke, so that's why she had some partial blindness. The emotion just make you feel connected with these characters. And then towards the end of the episode, we see that Howard here said on his touchpad, "Sorry for all the trouble." And Dr. Robby responded, "It's okay. This is what we do." When Howard said what he said, it was a really crazy moment. It was almost as though my brain and Dr. Robby's brain were like in sync, because that's exactly what I would say to a patient, that this is the work that we do and we will do anything for our patients. So I definitely feel very emotionally connected with that. And then finally, Digby, the smelly patient that Nurse Dana and Nurse Emma had to clean off earlier, he was paying respects to Louie because they knew each other. And then he dinged the bell saying that Louie got his wings. All the feels with that one right there. And all of these emotional beats that I just mentioned just makes this show just so good and why it's so important to have something like this out there. Honestly, we need some of that right now. And we need some of that type of kindness, that care, the compassion, and the dedication to service of others, which is really important in times like this. So, those are my top 5 moments and honorable mention from the Pitt season 2, episode 8. Tell us what your favorite moments were from this episode by commenting down below. Like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. And we will see you next video. All right. Take care, everybody.